perception of him. Okay, we have to take this move. Hikaru has rearranged the knight, so it's attacking the pawn. But okay, this is a very easy...
Computer hates it.
Yeah, I hate it. Look, Magnus now pushing forward. The Black Knights, earlier they were perfectly centralised. Black's Knights have spent 4 or 5 moves just pushing themselves off to that left side of the board where they have no influence at all. And now Magnus, he sensed that this is the right moment. He's pushing forward. If we see a trade of pawns now... Okay, we don't see a trade of pawns, but if we had seen a trade of pawns, White's knight would have jumped into the position.
But that's a huge pawn, David, in the New and Chess Classic finals. And
would you ever allow a pawn like that to survive, Jovanka?
No. No. I mean, just look at it. Especially if it gets protected by another pawn, that is a monster pawn. You know, 2 squares away from queening. And as David very importantly highlights, that pawn cuts the black position in half, which is actually, I often take this as a signal, like a red flag for the opponent to start attacking.
That pawn is going to be a thorn in his side forever. And Nakamura, he continues to manoeuvre his pieces, but that knight came from that square 2 moves ago. He's lost so much time. Sometimes, especially I notice in rapid and blitz chess, you just look move by move and you forget what's happened in the last few turns. But if Nakamura, if he goes back and analyses his game, he'll realise how much time he's lost with his knights. All of the white pieces are perfectly placed, all of them pointing towards the centre as well. Okay, Nakamura, he tries to pin one of the white knights, that black bishop, just trying to annoy Magnus. Magnus calling Nakamura annoying earlier. That's an annoying type of move, but it's a very short-term thing. I mean, there's no...
Opponent, you can't make it easy, and you have to create some chaos on the board. And Magnus... He's not phased. He instead is just advancing on the left side.
And almost trap that black knight on the edge of the board. And we do see a trade of pawns there. Okay, and Nakamura top of the table at the moment, but he does bring his queen out to the left side. So finally activating a piece, but I'm not sure whether that queen is actually on a great square.
With the time that they do have left.
Yes, there is certainly a lot of pieces. Okay, but we do have a critical decision from Magnus. He has pushed a pawn to attack the knight. And this wasn't the move that I was expecting. I was expecting Magnus to kind of keep the tension a little bit more in the position, and Hikaru just captures the pawn. So now...
Okay, Magnus recaptures. It would have been tempting to take with the queen as well.
Yeah, I wanted to suggest that one. Okay, but Magnus decides to capture with a pawn. And what is Hikaru going to do with his knight?
So Black's knight now on the side of the board. It is attacked. It retreats.
Wow.
Oh dear.
Isn't that the second time it retreats to original square?
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a real visual indication that things have gone wrong.
I mean, Hikaru, you're tied up. You can barely move a piece. And Hikaru retreats that knight, the other knight again. Those knights, I'll be interested to count how many times they've moved, but both of them back on the starting row now.
Magnus is at the position is so good, and this is a move that I really wanted to play, actually. I wanted to retreat the knight because I was visualising the knight coming to the centre to attack the queen and just push the black pieces even more. And I was going to say, but Magnus is completely not fussed about this, is that there's a lot of choice.
Black's retreating again. It's as if he... Well, I mean, we might even see the bishop start to retreating, but everything else is on the back row. And look at that knight. It's jumped into the heart of the black position. It's going to jump even further in. I mean, it's been very one-sided the last dozen moves.
And it's all to do with that pawn move. I mean, it's just like that started a downward spiral path for Hikaru.
Okay, Hikaru trying finally to get one piece active at least. The black rook came down, pinning the white bishop, but that black rook's getting attacked now.
Exactly, and it just handed a move to Magnus. Magnus is like, fine, I'm going to attack it away. And so all Hikaru can do is just retreat his rook.
No matter where it goes, it's going to get captured, it's going to get trapped. It sacrifices itself for a bishop. So now Magnus is a rook for a bishop up, and White still has that powerful pawn. White still has a beautiful knight in the centre of the board. Yes, Black has been able to ruin the pawn structure around White's king, but there are no pieces to attack that White king. That's the key.
And, well, Magnus just moves forward with his knight to attack the rook.
Yep, so Black's rook now likely to move. Which square will he choose? He's got 2 safe squares, that black rook. He just slides 1 square across, keeping an eye on that white passed pawn.
When you're defending such a miserable position like this, you must never, ever lose hope. And the hope that I see for Hikaru is if I manage to get the knight that's on the right out, 2 squares to the right, and then we have a checkmating threat.
You want to scare the opponent. And Magnus just defends a pawn with his
I'm
rook.
not really a big fan of his last move because it does interfere with the coordination between the rook.
Minimal. Okay, Hikaru does improve one of the knights.
I wanted him to move his knight to the right.
And white would have challenged the black queen.
That.
Okay, he brings his queen in. I said he was looking for a way in. He finds one with the white queen. I still don't see what the threat is, but both sides playing those kind of scary types of moves, right?
Maxim Vachier could look like he's winning Oriana Pomniachtchi. That's dramatic for Nepo. Giri, maybe he's winning against one of the tournament leaders, Timur Ajabov.
And, OK, we do have a move, and Magnus has stepped up with a rook. I'm a little bit nervous about the clock situation because that is ticking, and Hikaru finally moves a knight to the right side of the board and starts getting ready for some action. So there is a threat in the position.
He's going to be calculating. He's pushing the white pawn forward.
But he has...
One square. OK, he ignores black's threat. He just brings the white bishop back, and he's eyeing up black's pawn in the middle of the board. That is, OK, very well calculated, I think, from Magnus in that if black does try to jump forward with the black knight, top computer suggestions below the player's cameras, and Hikaru, he does find the best move. That was the only move to keep the game going. Everything else would have given white a huge, decisive advantage. So now Magnus has a threat to deal with. White's rook in the centre was under attack. He has to bring it back, and now Hikaru hassling white's kingside, attacking some pawns. What will Magnus come up with? It does feel like Magnus may be getting a bit nervous. The position repeats itself. Magnus doesn't go for the draw. He defends his rook in the centre this time.
Yeah, OK, but...
causing some chaos here. We see a trade of bishop for knight, and, OK, Hikaru trying to confuse Magnus. Black's pawn is also attacking the white rook. Magnus's face, look, he knows that even if he's still winning, he's lost control. Anything could still happen from this point. White's queen looks nice, but she's not helping with the defense of the white king. As Jovanka mentioned earlier, white's king, that's the only way that Hikaru will find tricks. And Magnus about to go under 10 seconds. He attacked the black queen forced back to where she came from earlier.
Hikaru shaking his head.
Yeah, Hikaru, maybe, I think he missed that last move, forcing the black queen back to a passive square. And now, wow, that is calm by Magnus. He just pushes a pawn. It looks like the left side of the board is irrelevant, but he's pushed a pawn there to secure the white knight.
Well, Hikaru pushing pawns, and both sides actually advancing their pawns as far as they can go. But, OK.
I think both sides are, there's no time to calculate now. Both sides are just trying to play on instinct, and whose instinct will be better here. Magnus, his rook was under fire, so he just steps it back one square. He actually gave up the pride and joy of his position. He gave up that pawn, but now black's pieces are tied up. And Magnus is the one shaking his head now. Magnus has just had to move his rook. Wow. OK, maybe Magnus has missed this one. He's had to give back a rook for a knight. Black's knight was threatening the white queen, threatening some pawns. Suddenly, Jovanka, all bets are off. Anything could happen in this game. Magnus, he's completely lost his material advantage. Black is the one who's a pawn up now. Okay, Magnus calmly just advancing the white king. I think Magnus, over the last few moves, he's completely panicked. He saw the clock situation, and I was expecting him to resign earlier, right? I thought he was dead lost. But OK, he does now attack the white queen. The white queen will have to find a safe square. I mean, Magnus, if he doesn't win this one, he's had winning positions against Nepomniachtchi. He had a winning position against Giri earlier in the tournament. He failed to finish those guys off. Wow, they just agree a draw. There's still so much life in the position. Hikaru offered a draw and Magnus accepted. Magnus, he blew that one. A miraculous save by Nakamura. And look at Magnus's face. He knows that was another missed opportunity in this tournament.